Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Sleepwalkers by Christopher Clark. In this non-fiction book, The Sleepwalkers, How Europe Went to War in 1914, written by Australian historian Christopher Clark in 2012, traces the sources of World War I. Here, Clark explores the complicated geopolitical situation of the early 20th century, which allowed a global conflict to erupt from the assassination of an archduke whom few outside of Austria knew or cared about at that time. While the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand is frequently cited as the spark that began World War I, Clark begins his narrative 11 years earlier before that killing, describing a different terrorist act that would reshape global politics forever. In 1903, Serbian militants stormed the royal home in Belgrade and brutally murdered King Alexander and Queen Draga, shooting them, stabbing them, and mutilating their faces. This attack, though horrendous, was widely successful, at least by the terrorist stance. The leader of the plot, Dragutin Dimitrijevic, was rewarded by being named the head of the Serbian military. From this position, he helped steer dissent among Serbians and other Slavic races against the non-Slavic leaders of Austria-Hungary. Later, these same Serbians would be responsible for the murder of Archduke Ferdinand. Another fuse was lit in 1903, Clark asserts, when Austria annexed Bosnia. Serbian nationalists were infuriated by the annexation because they felt Slavic states like Bosnia should be independent. This sense of nationalism had deep roots stemming from wars fought in the 1300s in which Slavic people lost huge amounts of land to predominantly Muslim countries like Turkey. These nationalists felt betrayed by European powers from the United Kingdom to Russia, who allowed this to happen. Then in 1912, Serbia invaded Albania, slaughtering hundreds of Muslims until finally they were forced out under pressure by pretty much the entire rest of Europe. When the Archduke and his wife made their fateful trip to Sarajevo in 1914, it happened to be on the 525th anniversary of a major historic loss for the Serbs in the Battle of Kosovo against the Turks. Despite this, the Archduke was hopeful. He had planned to create a kind of United States of Europe to avoid a conflict he truly believed was non-inevitable. From there, the author details the various chess moves and counter moves committed by various European heads of state and diplomats, which all conspired to create such a terrible global conflict. Treaties were in place to prevent such a conflict, but the treaties were largely untested, resulting in the Great War. Exacerbating the problem was that heads of state rarely spoke for the people they represented, and often they didn't even speak for their collective governing bodies. The emperors of Germany, Russia, and Austria-Hungary were notoriously quick-tempered and mercurial in their decision-making, changing courses without informing necessary parties. The flow of misinformation was also a problem, as heads of state made sweeping decisions and proclamations with faulty reasoning. Austria could not tolerate its archdukes being assassinated by Serbian terrorists, so it made an ultimatum to Serbia that it must ban all propaganda against the dual monarchy that ran things. Everyone believed that Austria-Hungary could not fight the Serbs on its own. Most predicted that Germany could enter the conflict as well. Meanwhile, France had a long-standing conflict with Germany over lost land to the Second Reich in the Alsace-Lorraine region. This suggested to many that France would use the destabilizing effect of the war to declare war on Germany to take back this land. On the other side of Europe, wanting land it had previously lost in Turkey, Russia believed it could secure that land by promising to take France's side against Germany. Finally, the United States was part of the Triple Entente Alliance with France and Russia, meaning it too would be sucked into the conflict if it became big enough, which it did. Clark cites numerous moments when one actor could have backed down or another could have stood firm, and these most probably would have stopped the war. However, as time moved on and diplomatic brinksmanship increased, the possibility of avoiding war became less possible. In the end, Sleepwalkers is most powerful for showing that World War I, despite being the result of decades and even centuries of treaties and land grabs, could have been avoided had any number of heads of states and diplomats had clearer heads up. This is a short summary of Sleepwalkers. If you have anything more to add on what I've said, please write it in the comment box, like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.